Hi, kindergartners. It's Ms. Thomas Moore here, and we are here with week 7, day 5 of our distant learning. We are on day 5, which means we are going to do an activity that tells everything we've learned all week. But before we get started with that, let's just do a little review. So this week we've been talking about graphs. That means we've been talking about object graphs and picture graphs. And when we talked about graphs, we talked about collecting data and interpreting that data. And the way that we interpret that data is we ask questions to figure out what's happening in the graph, like how many blue squares or how many yellow cars we had. Then we looked at those things and compared them using our most important words, greatest, least, and same. So before we get into our activity, what are we going to do? You guessed it. We're going to do some math and movement. So our math and movement today is what I call our crisscross shoulder tap. So the way that we do that is we tap our left shoulder twice with our right hand, and then we tap our left shoulder twice with our right hand, and then we're going to put our hands up in the air in a high V. And we're going to do that as we count all the way to 25. So it'll look like this. We'll go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So if you're ready, stand up. Let's start it all together. Are you ready? Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25. Super job. You've just counted from 1 to 25. You can do that again at home with your family and count all the way to 50. Now that we've got our minds all warmed up, let's move right into what our learning goal is going to be for our activity today. Our learning goal says that I can read object and picture graphs and interpret the data as greatest, least, or same. So we're going to be using those important words of greatest, least, and same that we used when we were comparing objects. The materials you're going to need today are a pencil, paper, and maybe some crayons or colored pencils or markers or something that you have at home that you can use for your graph. So our first activity is going to be looking at an object graph and a picture graph and then interpreting the data. What do we mean when we say interpreting the data? That means that we're going to be looking at the information that's there and deciding if we can figure out some answers to some questions. The last thing that you'll do is you're going to create a picture graph based on the information or the data that's in the table that you'll see. So the first one that you'll see is your object graph, and I have a picture of it there, but I also have the actual graph here for you to see where we have our actual linking cubes on our graph. And so when you look at that graph, you're going to be able to answer the questions of how many orange cubes are there, how many blue cubes, how many red cubes, how many brown cubes. And then you're going to answer the question, which color cube has the greatest number? And when we say greatest, what does that mean? It means which number is the biggest or which one has the most. And then you're going to answer the question, which color has the least number? And least means, that's right, the smallest number. And then there might be two colors that have the same number. And if it means it's the same, that means that they both have they are alike. They have the exact same amount of cubes. So you're going to look at that linking cube graph, which is an object graph, and make sure that you can answer those questions. The second graph you're going to look at is our picture graph, and it has pictures of 4 shapes, and they are triangles, squares, circles, and rectangles. And then you're going to answer the 5 questions that you see there. For that, you also have a table that's going to have lots of data in it, and you're going to have to, what's that word we talked about this week? That's right, interpret. You're going to have to interpret the data and create your own picture graph. So, the way that you can share your work with me is go to Flipgrid, which I have the URL listed there. You can go directly to that Flipgrid, create your graph, take a picture of it, and send it to me so I can see your work. You can also use the QR code that's there so that you can show me your work. I can't wait to see those amazing graphs that you're going to do. See you next time and have a great weekend.